Hello everyone, how are you? Welcome to Azul International School's virtual class. Today's class is a reading class. We'll be reading together The Signmaker's Assistant. But before starting with the story, I want to remind you with what a genre is. It is the type of story or the type of writing. Let's say you have took before what a realistic fiction is. It is events that didn't happen in real life but can actually happen. The characters are made up, they're not real, but the story itself can happen in real life. It's no problem. Now, the genre of today's story is humorous fiction. A humorous fiction is very similar to a realistic fiction, but what makes it different is that it is a funny story. So, as you can see here, a humorous fiction is a funny story about imaginary people and events. The people there are not real characters, but the events or the story itself can happen, but in the story, it is not real, but it can happen in real life. This is what humorous fiction is. Now I want you to open your paper that includes the questions of the story and check number 1. It asks you what is the genre of the story. So, as I just said, it is humorous fiction, of course. So we're now going to start with reading the story. Everyone in town agreed the old sign maker did the finest work for miles around. Under his brush, ordinary letters became beautiful words, words of wisdom, words of warning, or words that simply said which door to use. So this paragraph explains that the old sign maker made the best work. He was able to change ordinary letters to beautiful words. His work was fantastic. He made words of wisdom, he made warning. Now this is an example of a sign. Now here, sign maker is a person who makes a sign. This is an example of a sign of no parking. When he painted stop, now before that I want to make sure that you understand what a sign is. As you can see here, this is a sign that is on bathroom walls to show that it is for girls and this is for boys and so on. When he painted stop, people stopped because the sign looked so important. When he painted please keep off the grass, they kept off because the sign was polite and sensible. When he painted good food, they just naturally became hungry. So he painted lots of signs. One of them was to warn them that they have to keep off the grass, and they actually listened to it because the sign was written in a polite manner and it was sensible. And even when he painted good food, It was very attractive to people, and it made them hungry. People thanked the sign maker and paid him well. They paid the sign maker money for his fantastic work. But the kind old man never failed to say, "I couldn't have done it without Norman's help." So he's thanking Norman. Norman helped him. Now let's see who Norman is. But before that, let's answer question number 2. We read the details on pages 334, 335. What do they tell you about Signmaker's character? So, what can you tell about the character of the sign maker from what we have just read? First of all, from the first paragraph, he has made lots of signs. And he was praised for that. People liked his work. So we can tell that he is talented. Another thing mentioned here is that he is kind. So these are all descriptions of the old man that tells the character of the old man. So, what does it tell us about the sign maker? He is a talented and kind artist. Please write this down. Page 336. Norman was the sign maker's assistant. Oh, so here we can know who Norman is. Here he says that Norman helped him, and we were eager to know who Norman is. He is the assistant of the sign maker. If you don't know what assistant is, it is the person who helps another person. So let's say a teacher's assistant. She's the assistant or the person who helps the teacher in her job. Each day after school, he cut wood. He mixed colors and painted simple signs. So these are things that Norman did. So he cut wood, as you can see here, and he mixes colors, and this all helps him in becoming a good assistant. "Soon I will have a shop of my own," said Norman. "Perhaps," answered the sign maker, "but not before you clean these brushes." So he said to the sign maker, Norman, that he will have his own shop. The sign maker told him, "You have to clean the brushes first." It is a humorous part. One day, after his work was done, Norman stood at a window over the sign shop and watched people. They stopped at the stop sign. They entered at the enter sign. They ate under the good food sign. They do whatever the signs say. So he realized that people obey to what the signs say. So if the sign says stop, they stop. If it says they enter, they enter. If it says good food, they respond to it. So he realized that people do whatever the sign says. Said Norman to himself, "I wonder." He crept into the shop while the sign maker napped. So, what does it mean to creep? He moved slowly to the shop without the sign Maker noticing him because he was taking a nap, he was sleeping. With brush and board, he painted a sign of his own. Early the next morning, he put up the sign, then ran back to his window to watch. So, when he was done with the sign, early in the morning, he put the sign and then ran to the window, as you can see. No school, muttered the principal. How could I forget such a thing? See, she's confused. How did she forget that there's no school? She's the principal. No one informed me, said the teacher. Here, as you can see, he's upset that no one informed him. Hooray! Cheered the children, and everyone went home. So, the author showed you the reaction of people. After the sign maker's assistant made the sign and put it right on the door, as you can see here, the teacher was confused. The teacher was mad, and the principal was confused, and the kids were so happy. So this gets us to the question that says, question number 3. What reactions did people have to no school today sign? So the answer is gonna be, the principal couldn't believe that she forgot such an important thing. The teachers were upset that they weren't told about the day off, and the children were happy. So write this also in your copybooks or on the paper. Now we're going to talk about the main idea broadly. I'm not going to get into details. Later on, when we get to answer the questions about main idea and explain more in details, we're going to talk about it more. So here it tells you that the main idea is the most important thought about the topic. It is the message that the author wants to share with the readers. It is the main thing in whatever you read. It is usually a sentence. It is as short as being only a sentence that sums up what a passage or what a story is about. Let me give you an example. Let's say we have Rana, who went to the zoo, and Ahmed went to the zoo as well. They saw an elephant, they saw a giraffe, and they saw a monkey. Rana ate popcorn, and she ate hot dog. Ahmed drank only orange juice. They were both so excited that they went to the zoo. So here, what is the main idea? Yes, the main idea here is that they did lots of things at the zoo. They ate, they saw the elephant, they saw the giraffe, they saw the monkey. So this is the main idea. So let's open to book page 338 to continue with the story. Pay attention here very well because I'm going to be asking you about the main idea. This is great, cried Norman. He looked around town for another idea. Oh, he said at last. There is something I have always wanted to do. The following day, Norman jumped from the top of the fountain in the park. As he swam, he thought to himself, I can do lots of things with science. Ideas filled his head. An idea is a thought. He came up with an idea. He said, there's something that I always wanted to do. He wanted to swim in the fountain. As you can see, there is a fountain So he made this sign, open for swimming, and he did what he always wanted to do. That afternoon, when Norman went to work, the sign maker said, "I must drive to the next town and paint a large sign on a storefront. I'll return tomorrow evening, so please lock up the shop tonight." As soon as the sign maker was gone, Norman took advantage of this, so he painted for hours and hours and hours. In the morning, people discovered new signs all around town. So that afternoon, what happened? The sign maker told Norman that he's gonna leave because he has to paint a very large sign. So what did Norman do? He thought that, okay, I can take advantage of this opportunity and paint, make signs. So he kept painting for hours and hours. And in the morning, people noticed that there are new signs everywhere. As you can see here, this sign says deposit money here, meaning that put money here. So people here are putting money actually. Eat your hat. People are eating their hat. They're listening to the signs. Remember when Norman said people do whatever the signs tell them to do? Toy shop, buy Norman a present. Here, he's asking people to buy him a present. Now question number 4. What is the most important idea in pages 338 and 339? So what can you tell? Yes, the most important thing is that Norman realizes that he can do lots of things with signs. He has the signs and he can do lots of things, the things that he wanted to do, for example. And it's even written in italic. I can do lots of things with signs. Norman watched it all and laughed until tears came to his eyes. But soon he saw people becoming angry. So Norman saw all people who were reacting to the signs and they were actually doing what the signs are saying. They were putting presents to Norman. Here she's obeying to the sign in the street. Here they're knocking their heads. So he was laughing until the tears came to his eyes. But he noticed that the people were actually becoming angry. The sign maker is playing tricks, they shouted. He has made fools of us. So the townspeople, the people in the town, said that the sign maker is obviously playing tricks with us. So they realized that. The teacher tore down the "No School Today" sign. She cut it into pieces. She was very mad that the sign maker was fooling them. Suddenly, people were tearing down all the signs. Not just the new ones, but every sign the sign maker had ever painted. So they started cutting all the signs, the old and new. Here, see? This is an old one. Please keep off the grass. It was in the first page of the story. They removed the sign. And no more bath. I guess this is, of course, Norman has done it. They removed it. So, because they were so frustrated and angry, they removed everything.